Sorry, I had something in my throat for a second. We're here. Excuse me. Hi everybody. Happy Wednesday. I hope the day was restful and or productive for y'all. I got sidetracked by a different project before coming on. Um, wow, brain is empty. I do like the Legend of Dragoon soundtrack, but it's a little short, so let's put on our favorite Legend of Legaia. Hi, Cosmo. Um, yeah. We may keep it short today. I'm not entirely certain how I want to approach it. Um, so we may not really go too far over or anything as far as this goes, but so yeah, we'll see how long we go today. Maybe not more than half an hour afterward. But yeah, I got distracted by doing another thing beforehand. And so my day was just like yeah, brain was just like, lol, we're gonna do this thing, and then I got distracted. Like I'm getting distracted now because I have to stop Nightbot from yelling about Tales of Vesperia, assuming that I turned on that in the first place, that timer in the first place. Let me see, because knowing me, I probably forgot. No, I didn't, but I did turn it off just now. But yeah, hopefully y'all are doing well. We'll see how long I go for tonight. I do not know if I am planning for it to be a super long time necessarily, but we will see, TM. Here we go. I meant to do it over here. I almost said something snarky and cutting in a space where honestly I need to just mind my business as far as that goes. Alrighty. I almost said a thing, and I sat and I thought about it, and I'm like, is this something that would be helpful for me to say right now, or is this just me being a? Damn it! I wasn't paying attention. I clicked the wrong thing. All right, give me a second, y'all. Sorry. I wasn't. I was sitting here about to snark like a smartass, and I completely wasn't paying attention to the thing that I pressed. So now I have to redo this. Give me a second, because I literally opened the wrong thing at the wrong time. But now I have to wait for this to finish loading in the first place. Okay, let's try this again. Because I wasn't paying attention, and I wound up opening the Crush game instead of Shoot Lancer like I meant to, because I wasn't looking at what I was doing. We'll probably do at least a little bit of work on that today, but I want to also just tweak a couple of things as far as Shoot Lancer is concerned. And also explain a couple of things that I have learned over the course of learning more about how you build a game for arcades in the nowadays. Alrighty, let's go. I did wind up throwing my hat into the thing where I said I should probably mind my own business, but that's just because I can't help it. I cannot help myself. All I'm going to say is that stones and glass houses. But let me not get into that. So let me explain a little bit of what's happening here. People who have seen a lot of Shoot Lancer before will remember that it has an options menu that is much more akin to like the options menu that you would see in like a console release. You have gameplay options, you can tweak a bunch of other stuff, and so on and so forth, right? However, one of the things about arcade machines, this is something that we learned about thanks to a company called Astro Co Gaming. They were the ones who recommended initially that we submit Shootlancer to CEO, and the end result of that was that we were able to, go to Orlando, show the game, all this other stuff, X, Y, Z, right? That being the case, what wound up happening was that we also got a chance to look at the operator menu for their game. Throwback Highlight Heroes. It's a really cute game. I like it a lot. I think it's really cool. Hello from Puerto Rico. Hope you have a productive dev session. Thank you, Frades. I appreciate it. I think so. We're not going to be doing like a lot. I think mostly because I'm trying to avoid a habit that I tend to have with Shootlancer is that I tend to like go a little bit overboard in terms of like adding lots of new stuff from time to time. So lately I've been doing a thing where I try to like, especially if it's on stream, even if I'm not doing anything like new, I try to make sure that I'm not overextending myself a little bit. I always get the primary sub. Ooh. Yeah, that happens, doesn't it? I think I did at least remember to... Yeah, I'm pretty sure I remembered to mix it up this time beforehand, so no alerts will go missing this time, which is nice. Right, operator. I was talking about the operator menu. So the whole thing about like an arcade machine, right, is that you ideally want to put things into such a position where you want to ideally put things in such a position that the operator of the arcade Thanks so much, Kaz. Deeply appreciate it. 15 months. Damn. Deeply appreciate it. If I can get an exclamation point hype in the chat, I would appreciate it. Right, operator menu. I need to finish that line of thought before I lose it. So the whole thing about operator menus is that, let's say, for example, you have a place and you're like, I want to like, let's say that you have a place and they're like, yeah, we're fine here if people put in like 1 coin to get a credit, right? Like, let's say that you are okay with that. Let's say that that's the target thing that you want insofar as how much it costs to play the game, right? But let's say that you have the machine at a different arcade and the other arcade owner is like, hey, so over here, I would like to right. Oh, over here in this arcade, I would rather have it so that, like, if you're gonna play 1 credit, you need to put in 2 coins, right? Or 3 coins or whatever, right? Usually like, usually, for example, right? This used to be accessed with something called these settings used to be changed with something called dip switches, which I believe were, like, if I remember right, dip switches used to be like actual, like, physical toggles and stuff on the actual arcade board so that you could adjust it that way. Nowadays, as far as like most arcade machines are concerned, since you're basically just running like a miniature computer inside of, you know, the actual shell, right? Okay, right, there we go. Brain caught up again. So, those used to be like physical dip switches, like I was saying before. But the modern computers now, or rather modern arcade machines now, for the most part, especially like for those that are doing games, you literally usually just need to put an actual like mini PC of some sort into the arcade machine, way down the bottom with some form of ballast, and then go from there, right? So rather than like using an actual, you can, if you have the technical know-how and really want to put in the effort, and you really wanted to like make an arcade game by making an actual physical arcade board with all the peripherals and all that other stuff, you could do that, but that takes like a certain degree of like actual that takes an actual like degree of like you have to know how to like solder and jumpers and all that other stuff. Like you have to really have a lot of specialized physical knowledge to really be able to like manufacture an old school arcade board. Right? And so a lot of people instead will just like get a mini PC and put it inside of, you know, the arcade facade. And then, but that works, right? But I say all that to say that now, as a result of that, well, you still need something that is sort of like adjacent to dip switches and the way that like dip switches would work, right? So for modern day sorts of things, right? The idea now is that we have the operator menu instead to basically sort of condense all of those functions into a menu that you can use to like do these sorts of things, right? So, Shoot Lantern. So, Shoot Lantern having a whole thing where it had a lot of the options arranged as if you were playing a console game was still one of the major holdovers that it had from when we were developing it for consoles. So one of the things that I went to go do, and even now, for example, like window mode and window size will probably get removed at some point, I think. Mostly they're just there right now because I wanted to make sure that they were there, but if I need to remove them, I can. So rather than having like individual options that were like broken out into a bunch of different menus and all that, I've started to consolidate it now just into straight up this one operator menu. So when the game is in arcade mode, right, we can just very literally do that and it's a done deal. So I'm going to put in a dummy option that technically doesn't do anything yet, but I want to have it here just because I think it's important, because I'm going to need it at some point. We're going to call this do a control node here and a control node here. This one is going to be credit options. Hang on. That's what I did. Credit options, label control, and this is credit options drop down control. And then I'm gonna add a rich text label over here. And then over here, we're gonna add a drop. Hang on a second. I gotta remember what this thing is called. It's control. We need not a video stream player. I'll remember in a second. Base button. Nope. Texture button. Text edit. Nope. Color graph edit. Nope. Line edit. Tab bar. Tree. I'm gonna remember what this was in a minute. My brain is just empty as hell. Container, no. Separator, no. Item list, label, line edit. As the Dancing Cheesy says, thank you so much for the follow. Deeply appreciate it. I do keep my follow alerts anonymous so that people can follow and lurk if they feel so inclined and do not have to do any talking if they don't feel like it. But yeah, I appreciate it. Let me see here. I just gotta remember where this is. Hey Nadia, good to see you. There we go. It's called an option button. I'm sitting here trying to remember what the heck this thing was called. So then control base button. Nope, not that one. Option button. Oh, okay. There it was. There. It's just why didn't it show up? All right, option button. Surprised I didn't follow sooner. I thought I already was. Sometimes Twitch does do the Twitch thing, doesn't it? That's fair. Gonna do this, and then this one is okay, 450.50. So really, this credit option container should be 50 at a minimum. And then over here for each of these, we want 50 as well. And this one we're gonna do 450, so that forces that to this size. And then the drop down control over here, we want to make sure that this is also expanded out to fit that. And now we just need to take this and set its minimum size to 450 as well. So the idea behind the way this is Godot. This is the Godot game engine. It recently got a release for Godot 4.5. While Unity has the advantage strictly in terms of how long it has been out and therefore the number of materials that are available for it, I also feel like the main thing that Godot has over Unity is the fact that the engine itself is open source. So, like, unlike with Unity, where I believe you do have to pay in order to like actually get access to like the guts of the engine, Godot, that shit is open source. Do whatever you want. So yeah, this is Godot. So Munity, which is the game dev studio team co-op that I helped co-found, we used to use Unity at one point, but Unity had a thing with their with the way that they wanted to do licensing for people that were using the engine, insofar as like right, if you made a game with Unity, there was a thing where they're like, all right, so if you made a game with Unity, the thing that you have to do now is you are going to have to pay us X amount of money. You are going to have to pay us X amount of money per like download or whatever it was that they'd come up with. And a lot of people were just like, no, actually, you can like, you know, bite me in so many words. And they were just like, and so ultimately they walked it back. But a lot of people after that happened, us included, were just like, we cannot trust Unity to like operate with us in good faith, because they were literally going to try to like charge a licensing fee where it's like, yeah, for like every download of your game, right, y'all need to pony up X amount of money for us for licensing fee stuff. And a lot of people are just like, we can't afford that. What are you talking about? So the end result of that is that, people just weren't having it. So they were just like, we're not doing that. And so a lot of people moved over to Godot. Essentially speaking, Godot chose to start as like a 2D game engine and then has been adding 3D support, which is it's one of those things where, right, Unity was like, we're going to do 3D support, right? And then we add in 2D support later. Godot, on the other hand, started with 2D support and has been adding 3D support instead. But the end result of that, aside from that, is also that from a certain compositional perspective, Godot was just like, no, we would like to do node-based programming, right? So if you look at the way that I have this, like, I know this looks like a bunch of stuff, so I'm gonna just like sit down and try to like break it down into the high level stuff. The basic idea with Godot is that every object within your game is a node, right? So with Godot, every object is a node. Depending on what functionality you want that object to have, you add more nodes to it, and each node will give some other form of functionality that you can then kind of like work with. So as an example, right, if I were to go open up my player.ts, I demonstrate this a lot because it's easier with something that's not abstract like a menu. But here's, for example, a way that we can look at this. Like Leona has a bunch of nodes and stuff like that. So let's start from the very beginning. Leona's parent node, the base node that Leona is made of, is a node called an Area 2D node. All an Area 2D does is detect whether or not certain objects have passed into or out of its operating area, essentially, right? So we started with just that. However, if you're going to use an Area 2D node, you have to define a shape that also sort of defines what is the area of contact for this Area 2D node. And that's where the hurt box comes in, right? This hurt box is a collision shaped 2D node that specifies for the Area 2D called player, this is the hurt box that we can be hit in. Okay, cool. That's great, right? And then once you have that, you're like, oh, I need an image to represent the sprite. So you add to the player node a sprite 2D node, which is your player sprite. And over here, this looks really small, but this is the whole sprite sheet with all of Leona's sprites in it. And by using this animation thing, we take that sprite sheet and we split it into a bunch of evenly sized images. And we can then make animations from that. But if we want to play the animations, we then need an animation player node, right? We have another sprite 2D for like Leona's physical like sprite outline and a bunch of other stuff, right? I have another Area 2D to represent the area where if Leona spins through an enemy and they hit this specific hitbox, then it's a perfect spin. I have another node 2D that determines, hey, this is the area that lets Leona pick up hitboxes, and that's pick up power-ups, and that pickup hitbox is like way bigger than everything else because it doesn't collide with like bullets or anything. It's just for picking up power-ups. So we can make it really big so it's easier for Leona to like pick those things up. We have another node that helps control like where Leona's like revival meter is and all this other stuff, right? So on and so forth and so on and so forth, right? My main point is, to Afraidy's point, right, that the composition part of it, once you understand how Godot wants you to do the composition stuff, it is actually really straightforward in that sense. because the idea is that you basically make, and not every scene has to have like 6 billion nodes in it, right? You just start with a basic node that has some form of base functionality that you know you're going to want. You add some other stuff to it, and then your right is rain. You don't have to necessarily like go all the way in, right? Complicated objects will just naturally have more nodes, but you can have objects that are very simple and only have like the parent node and then like 2 or 3 children, right? So as an example, now going into this menus thing, right? So I have this big visibility node that controls the entire visibility of the whole operator menu, right? Then I have a vertical box container that basically lines out I have an options menu container that's a vertical box, which contains 2 things: the actual options and the description that's up here, and then the option menu button options down here, right? Inside of the options container, which is a horizontal box container because it's split between 2 things, right? The options window and the window for describing what options you have selected. And then the options window itself is split into the backing. It has a little margin so that we can push everything in from the actual window for a little bit. And then when we go into the actual options container itself, right, you see the margin over here that kind of keeps everything pushed in. The options container itself is a vertical box container, which automatically aligns the things inside of it vertically. And we kind of just go from there. So that's how we're able to fit this coins per credit thing in, right? Because inside of the options container, which lines everything vertically, we have an operation options header, right? In there we have, and then as the next thing, we have the credit options container, which just has the label for this. So I should do credit options label, and then this is credit options drop down option button. I should call this option button really, because that's what it really is. And the idea here is that when we're doing work in the HUD like this, especially when we're working with horizontal and vertical box containers in particular, we have control nodes to help define the outer perimeter and size of whatever element we're working with, and then we put the element inside of it afterward in order to help control the size better. So now you see we have a nice little thing that says coins per credit. And right now, this is not going to do anything yet. But I'm going to just set up the dummy option anyway and make sure that it's saving so that future me doesn't have to worry about it. Because it is something that for an arcade machine, you do have to consider. Like I was talking about earlier, right? You may put the machine down in an arcade, and there may be one night where they're like, okay, normally you have to pay like 1 coin or 1 token, right, in order to like get a credit in order to hit the start button and play the game, right? Like there's that whole thing, right? But let's say that the arcade has like an arcade may have like a free play night, right? You need to be able to then set the coins per credit to like 0 or whatever, right? And that's what this option is going to be for. I could literally just add the items in manually here, but I don't really feel like doing that. So what I'm going to do is over in the script for the operator menu, I'm going to actually like have it generate through code. I could manually type it if I really felt like it. I don't necessarily, right? So export option button, coins per credit. And then we can just get rid of that. And then we can just do the drop down option button for how many coins per credit there should be. And then hope you have a nice one. We'll try to come back next time. Cheers. Yeah. Thank you, Frades, for stopping by. I appreciate it. I'm happy to hear that you are also using Godot. I hope that your game project, if you're working on one, goes well. And much fortune. I'm just renaming a couple things here. Okay. I'm just gonna organize this a little bit while I'm at it. Hang on a second. I gotta... Oh, that's what it is. Okay, so we're just gonna do... What's this called? Um, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think this should be about as high as it needs to go. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then we're gonna go. Hold on. Four point 5. That's 6.7. It's 9. It's gonna be upset because these all have the same name. So I need 9, 8, 7, 6. So the reason why I did that and why I went to all this trouble is very simple. Because now over here, I should be able to do... Now this should, yeah, let's see. There should still be a couple of errors. Oh, no, I can do even better now. You'll see what this code does in a minute. Now, there's only one other thing I need to do here in order to make this work correctly. Y'all aren't going to be able to see me edit this, but I need to just edit this really quick. Opening some program. This is coins, credit. And then there's only one other thing I need to do that is important here. Save operation settings. And then over here, hang on a second. There's one other thing I should do here just to make my life easier. Region const variables. And region, we're gonna do const string switch section equals dip switch settings. Const string dip switch arcade mode e equals arcade mode. Const string coins credit e equals coins credit. Because now what we can do is call this dip switch section, and then we're going to call this one arcade mode key, and this one is coins credit key. So the reason why I'm doing it like this, by doing this constant string thing, is because I know for a fact these values are never going to change. So rather than potentially like botching it and doing a typo at some point, I can just do the hard variable names and make sure that like nothing goes horribly funky while I'm trying to do that. You feel me? So now over here in the operator menu, I can do dip switch manager dot instance dot set dot coin set coins per credit. We're gonna do coins per credit drop down dot selected. Because, like, technically speaking, I could pile these both into the same. I could pile these both into the same configuration file if I felt like it, and at some point I may want to unify those two at some point. But, you know. I think I got everything that's important. So. Which of mine internet being super cool about letting me watch my French stream. Okay. I think I've got everything that I was supposed to get as far as like things that I had to remember to assign. So you can see the old men. You can, if you look carefully, you can see that the old menus are still hanging out over here, right? No, in this case, I think with the way that things are, I should probably like hide them because we're not going to be using I'm gonna leave them for right now because I'm gonna hide. I'm going to like hide. I'm going to hide them because right now we're not using them. Excuse me. Then I just, yeah, here we go. Okay, so save that. We'll save this one. All right. So the main thing, we'll see if I botched this horribly. Okay, good. It doesn't look like I did. I know y'all can't see the capture. I'm fixing that right now. So the major thing that's different now with the game is that at this point now, there is essentially a toggle in the there's a toggle in the dip switches that essentially controls whether or not the game is running in arcade mode, right? And all that primarily affects is whether or not pressing any of the main buttons on the main panel of the machine actually does anything in terms of this video's old, but it's okay. So now, right, if you press any button to start, basically, and now y'all see though I seem to have messed up something with like actually getting the audio to play it. I know what it is, I think. But I'll fix it in a second. But yeah, now you can see, right? It doesn't do anything right now. But if there was a point at which I was like, okay, I would like to be able to like do, you know, coins per credit, right? We can sit down and do that. Here are the records. My understanding is that generally speaking, 1 coin per credit is usually enough. Let me just make sure of one thing. So for whatever reason, though, we are not getting the music to play again when we come back. That's something I have to figure out. Okay. So let's just do one thing. public override process, and then we're just going to do base process if input that get Okay, so we're gonna have to do a couple shenanigans here to make sure this works correctly. Arc coin. And now we're gonna come back over here to the dip switch manager. Really, I'm gonna have to change the name of this to like arcade operation manager or something, because that's basically really what it's doing at this point. It is no longer managing the dip switches, it's also paying attention to like how many coins are there. So we're gonna do input names dot arc coin dot to string. Then we're gonna say coin count plus plus. If coin count is greater than or equal to coins per credit, coin count is 0, coins per credit plus or credit count plus rather. So here's the idea, right? If the coin input is pressed, we increase the coin count. If the coin count exceeds or equals the coins per credit, we increase the credit count and reset the coin value. Because basically, from what we've been told, we meaning like the Shootlancer team, right? Immunity specifically. From what we've been told, the way that like coin op machines work now in this scenario is that the actual coin chutes have the ability to simulate a button or a keyboard press, right? So again, because this is essentially just going to be a mini PC that is running Shootlancer inside of an arcade machine, the idea is that I can program the coin chute to simulate some input on the keyboard when a coin is entered. When a coin is entered, and all we have to do is make sure that on Godot's end of things, that this coin, right, is subsequently set up appropriately, right? That's the idea. That we set up Godot's input system to register whatever combination that we simulate the coin chute pressing to match, and then done deal, right? This is so cool to look. Was that also huge? Thank you, Nadia. So yeah, we have those two. Okay, so yeah, coins for credit. Oh, that's good. So the reason why I had to stop and like do this first is because now on the title screen, if we are in arcade mode, two things we have to figure out. So if dip switch manager.instance.credit count is greater than 0, one other thing that we need to do now. I think I need to, exported vars. Okay, export category, arcade mode nodes. And then we're gonna do export rich text label. This is but I might be reusing this somewhere else. Okay, there are two ways that I can handle this. There are so many ways that I can handle this, and I do not know. Because I may wind up reusing this thing later, and I don't want to have to rewrite that code. Okay. Here's what we're going to do instead, I think. Because I have two options, right? I could sit down and I could, like, write the thing that I'm going to do and make it just a specific part of that one menu. Or, and this is the thing I'm thinking about in particular right now, is that there's going to have to be a point where I'm going to need the flashing text for, oh yeah, you know, how many coins and how many credits do you already have, etc., right? I am going to have a use case at some point in the future where that is going to be necessary to reuse somewhere. And so I have two options. I can either hard code it in two spots, or I can do the thing which I think makes more sense, which is to do this basically. Credit display control. And now for this, really, I want this to be like up here. We're gonna do 250 by 50. Or, nah, I might need like 500 by 100. And then over here, add a child node. We're gonna do rich text label. And we want to make the rich text label fit this whole thing. And then at the very least we're gonna do enter on that. I may have to change that later. Theme, we can leave the theme empty, and we're just gonna do this one. And then we're just going to do I was going to do small game programming today, but this has wound up becoming something bigger. So I think probably we won't get to the small game stuff today, but this is better actually, because now this is like more Shoot Lancer related things. We're going to do HUD, because it is a HUD thing. And over here in the HUD, we're going to do create new script, and this is going to be called a... we're going to want it to inherit from control, and then in HUD we're going to call this credit display.cs. So here on the parent node for this, we're gonna go and we're gonna do script. We're gonna hit this quick load. You can't see the window I'm searching now for credit display.cs, and we're gonna put that there. I'm gonna keep this very simple. Credit display text. Very, very simple. Private variables and region. Rich text label. This is credit display text. And then probably we're gonna need a timer. Flash switch timer. Public override ready. So the first time, so when this thing is put, or when this thing first appears in the scene that we're going to use it in, ready is the stuff that we're going to use to help set it up. It'll only run one time. The stuff in ready will only happen once and then never again. The credit display text dot text is going to be, we're going to have to do a thing for that. So we're going to do flash switch timer equals new timer, flash switch timer dot. You'll see why I'm calling it this in a second. We're going to need it for something later, but I'm going to put this to one side right now. And then we're going to do we're going to do, yeah, we'll do it. Public void set credit display text. Very simply, if dip switch manager dot instance I'll explain what this stuff does in a second. Do one thing just to be safe. I'm gonna block these buttons. And I should rename some of these. So let me do that. I need to add some things rather. So we're gonna do instance of the current switch manager. Okay. The script. So actually, I don't even need this thing. Don't need the flash switch timer at all. Don't need that at all. But we do need to do... Pardon me. Now we're just going to save this as a scene, HUD. We're just going to do credit display.tscn. So you may be wondering, why did I go to all that trouble? What is this thing supposed to do? Why did I go to all this trouble? Well, that's for later. I can drop that off in the HUD wherever. I am going to have to repeat some of the functionality, unfortunately. Well, in theory. I'm sitting here realizing that I do actually have to handle this a little bit differently. I am going to have to repeat this code somewhere else. Sometimes you don't have a choice but to duplicate code in certain spots, and that happens. And we're just going to do check for credit. That's what we're going to say. And over here, we're just going to do public void check for credits. And then instead of title, whoops, I've messed up something here. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, and now instead of credit display text, I need to do export rich text label. Yeah, so it turns out I wasn't as clever as I thought, which is unfortunate. I thought I was being clever, but I wasn't as clever as I would have liked to believe. Start text label. Then let's do start text label. So over here, I'm gonna do start text label. Label. But yeah, you notice how when I decided to change the text over here, I then had to change it over here too. This is why sometimes if you know you're going to be using a value like twice, right? Sometimes that's when you want to make a variable just to make your life easier. So in this case, I'm going to just do region const variables. We're just going to do end region. We're just going to do over here const string start text format equals press any button to start, right? Const string insert credit format. And honestly speaking, realistically speaking, what I can do even here, because I know the credit display is going to use exactly this thing, I can do region static variables, because I know for, or rather, I know for a fact that I can region const variables, because I know that I'm going to reuse it over here too. So rather than like having that information live in two separate spots, I can do public const string insert credit format, and then I can just very simply grab this, put this here, do that. Now watch this. Watch this. To borrow that, we're gonna do format. Damn it, what did I call it? Insert credit format. And now even over here, I can do credit count format. I can just do this as credits. And then the thing is that, so these little, the curly braces with the numbers in them are basically placeholders, right? The curly braces with numbers in them are placeholders for whatever value I'm going to want to insert into there later, right? And that's what the string.format stuff is for. So if I come down here and you see where I have this as string.format, the first thing I provide is the format for the string that I want, and anything in the curly brackets will get replaced with the order of the other things I put after it. So the credit display text will be insert credit, and then it's going to display placeholder 0, placeholder 1. Placeholder 0 is the number of coins I currently have. Placeholder 1 is the number of coins per credit that I'm going to want, right? And now here I can do credit count format, which only has one placeholder in it. And that one placeholder will be however many credits I have. So here I can now just do credit count format. I could even really just do this, right? Where it's like after that, it will always put a new line after that. But for safety purposes, I'm going to not do that because sometimes I may not want that adjustment to happen automatically. So I can just do this instead. And now, for example, I can do credit display dot insert credit format standalone. And now I can do start text format over here. And then now I can do start text format over here. And then here I can do insert credit display dot insert credit format new line, so that I know, okay, put this one on a new line, do that. So this should, only one other thing I need to do now in order to make sure this works correctly, and that's in the project settings. I need to do arc. You can't see it because it doesn't show in the pop-up window, and I don't want to show like my whole screen because that's a security hazard. So I basically set it up right now so that the arcade coin op button, for lack of a better word, is just the C key. Now, one other thing I need to do. If okay, I need to rearrange these conditions a little bit, actually. So let me sit down and take a minute to think. Yeah, let me do it like this. This is the better way to do it. So if we are not in free play mode and we don't have any credit, very simple, right? If we are not in free play mode and we have no credits, then we need to display that. Otherwise, if we're not in free play mode, but we do have at least one credit, we do this. And now over here, I can just put down another else and then just do start text label dot text equals start text format. So one of the things that programmers, or that when people talk to you about programming and the way that it works, that people sometimes don't really stop to tell you about, is that the logic is very important, right? And if you are not like doing your logic correctly, then yeah, the math is important and all that other stuff, but it's about also building something that makes logical sense in terms of the syntactical structure of how certain code things work. Okay, cool. That works. Okay. I might be able to do something clever here. Give me a second. Um, oh, I could just do it like that too. That actually makes a lot more sense, I think, because then I just need to like append it as separate ones. There are so many ways to handle certain programming things that you find oftentimes that the thing that you wind up beginning to wonder about is mostly like how you control very specific things. So we have this. Okay. All right. Yeah, that should be better, I think. And then I need to come over here and where is it? Come on, Sean. Don't lose your focus now. Keep it together. Just keep it together. I should comment this. Set the number of coins required to get one credit. Okay, let me see here. Um, okay, so I'm gonna comment this code to help sort of sort out this line of logic here because I realized that I hadn't done that. this, and then we're gonna do I think this should probably do it. And then I may have to reformat that in some other different format later, but I just want the information to like actually show up so we can see it. Hang on a second, now I need to actually make sure that the dip switches are being updated correctly, which means that if I want to make sure the dip switches are being updated correctly, I have to actually, yeah, okay, cool. I was worried about that. Okay. Which means that in my infinite wisdom, I did not actually make sure that this gets written there. Okay. Hold on a second. Give me 1 second. I gotta just make sure of one. Alright, so we have to come over here. I'm going to do double deploy, save, switch settings. Okay, cool. know that looks like a lot. We're gonna ignore most of those because most of those are not relevant. We really only care about we only really care about like that. If I have reasons to put in the other ones, I will. All right, let's try this again. So you couldn't see it because, again, like the specific thing that I did for that is hidden on my actual computer end. But the thing that I did just now on the back end, or with the code I was just doing, was setting it up so that like when you actually make changes to the dip switch manager, right? All that works. So, only one other thing that I think I need to do here. Why are these? Oh, because it's because of the spacing I think I put into this, the theme override. Yeah, the separation causes shenanigans. Okay, so we're gonna move that one out of there, and then this title container. Well, no, can't quite do that because that causes separate issues. Okay, so reparent to new node. We're gonna control idle container arcade, and then this is the local control goes in over here. Title container arcade. You are in fact this whole big thing. Logo control. Okay, you. Yeah, like you're just gonna go there, and then we are going to move you up. Transform wise, where is it? The layout, transform. Yeah, you need to be like. Yeah, you need to be like right there. You go over there. And then as for you, we're going to pin you down here. Good. And now you two are only separated by that. So start text control. And now this is going to be small credit text control in order to help like actually sort this out a little bit. Small credit text. Yeah, I know that we're on an ad right now, but I want to knock out some of these. Export. Oh, I forgot to set the labels. That's why I got upset. Over on the title screen. So I was doing work on the back end and I forgot to do this part. There we go. Now we run this. Whoops, I did this wrong. So, you may notice that here it says is action pressed, right? This is incorrect for what I want. Because if action pressed means am I holding it down right now? Which is not what I want. I want is action. We're just going to do just. Because this way, it will only do it once. Back, what's good? We've got credit counting working correctly now, I think. Yeah, so that works. That works now. Basically. Hold on a second. I gotta adjust one thing. One thing I need to adjust real quick, actually, just to make sure that I didn't botch this terribly, because it's probably pointing at the wrong one. We need this one. Honestly, either way, the logo should be out here. Lock those two so that they don't cause any problems. Then we're just gonna move y'all right there. Condense y'all down to here. This, and then just gonna that actually, because y'all should be right there in the middle. Take you and move you down here a little bit. So yeah, credits. So yeah, like actually inserting coins for credits now like works correctly. And then as you see, I need to adjust the actual window size down there so it like gets a little wider, just to make sure that like, you know, it actually spaces correctly. But now you can see that like the actual, now you can see like the actual credit stuff does what it needs to do. I just need to adjust one thing. So over here in the, where is it? Alright, I just need to make this other one a little bit bigger. So this one, come over here and make this minimum size a little bit bigger, then we should be okay. I just make it a little bit bigger that way so that it can expand downward. And then at some point I figure out where we can put the credit alert for the other thing. And then you can see, right, if I need to like actually like put in more credits, I can do that. And then I press the button and it goes, right? So, and then when I load the game again, it will actively check, right, how many. Okay, I need to just check one thing real quick. Ah, here it is. I can just do... There we go. Which causes now some other things I need to think about. Okay. Yeah, it turns out that there are a couple of other structural things that now I kind of want to redo anyway. So now I have to think about how to redo them. Give me a second, because now I have to do some thinking again, and I have to untangle how I wrote this in the first place, which is unfortunate. But all right, time for me to like start untangling how I wrote this in the first place. Okay, input checks. Okay, there's only one problem now. I don't remember how I set up the... Fuck. This is a little bad, actually. I don't remember how I set this up. It might have been in the HUD, maybe? Let me see if I can figure it out. That's bad. That I don't remember how I did this. Okay. I gotta try to figure out where I put this. This is the only really bad thing. Hang on. I think it's over here. Maybe? All right. This is where we start. This is where things start getting. Oh, here it is. That's why. Okay, cool. So, all right. Okay, hold on a second. I gotta be a little bit. I gotta try to be a little clever here, because now I need to figure out if I. Okay, yeah. Okay, that should get around the issue. So I realized that there was basically what I realized in so many words is that. Ready? Swift flying cookie shoot lantern. So yeah, now if you attempt to pause the game, if you attempt to pause the game while it's in arcade mode, what actually happens is we go back over there instead. Can you keep up, rookie? Essentially speaking. And then there's only one other thing I want to do with the operator menu in particular. Um, so let me see here. Most important thing is that for the operator menu, process always, because we don't ever want it to be stopped. And ideally, this means that everything else inherits downstream from that. Because otherwise, and then the thing I think we want to be able to do from here now is when we enter this state, get and then when we exit this state, hang on, save, cool. And we're just going to do public override on exit, false. All right. And then the only other thing I think we want to do is that for the title screen state, there's only one other thing I want to do. Here's where we get a little bit tricky, right? Because really, strictly speaking, the dip switch manager is just this, but I think what we're going to want to do here is actually just make a state machine. Then we're going to need a node for states, and then I need operator menu. So the reason why we're doing this is very simple, because the dip switch manager should be able to call the operator menu on its own without having to have a reference to it somewhere else, to make my life a lot easier. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to yank it. So here is where, unfortunately, we get a little tricky, right? I have to be very careful about this. So there's no... So we're going to remove it from there. And I want to say I need to also go remove it out of where I added it from the pause scene in the HUD, because that is also no good, I think. So pause scene, we're going to go yank it up out of here, because we want it to sort of hang separate from those things. I should be careful about crossing the streams. Because a lot of that functionality was bound up in make this like the home experience, which is not necessarily explicitly the thing that we want to do here. We should avoid that. So what I am going to do, however, is the dip switch manager. I do need to come over here and do so public variables. Above this, we're going to do a region for exported variables and region. And we're just going to do export state machine dip switch state machine. So the reason why I have a state machine here is that very explicitly, I want the dip switch manager to be able to basically just call on the operations menu as an option. So we need to have it as a state machine in order to do that. So now that you've done that, we're going to say dip switch manager dot instance. Hang on a second. Dip switch manager. That's what it is. I specifically said dip switch state machine. And it says it's not accessible because I forgot to do one very important thing, which is that in the dip switch manager, I want to make this public. I just need to then make sure I do get protected set so that only the dip switch manager can like actively mess with that. I like to do that extra protection even if it's just me running around in code so that I don't accidentally try to do some things that I shouldn't be doing later. Makes my life easier. Just makes my life easier in that regard. So over here now, yeah, we want to do it like this basically. And better yet, we're going to take it out of here. And in the dip switch manager, we're going to do in the process, we're going to do this, right? So because the dip switch manager is always present in the game, now basically from whatever screen we feel like, we can always open up the operator menu. I just need to add a state machine script to this node right here. Do not auto start the state machine. And it does not have a starting state to begin with. But we just need to make sure that the dip switch manager has state machine, states, options, submenu, operator menu. Nice and easy, right? And then actually, oh right, I need to change it over here. So instead of the all volume slider, I want it to be the credit options option button. That's the first spot we actually start at now. So what all of this should do, assuming that I didn't forget anything, is that I should be able now, if I feel like it, to basically just call the operator menu at whatever point. Whoops, I need to make sure that I named that correctly. In the dip switch manager, this should say options. Honestly, even I should just do this. Operator menu. Let me just make it nice and simple. We're just going to do operator menu because that's really all we need. Now that I've done that, though, basically at whatever point in the boot sequence I feel like, or whatever point in the game I feel like, I should be able to call the operator menu if I feel like it. And it works. I just need to adjust the where it actually is. Dip switch manager. Yeah, operator menu. Okay, cool. Visibility node. Okay, there's like one other thing I need to do in order to get this to like actually work correctly, I think. So this is the option submenu template. Okay, I got something I forgot that I did not plan for here that is going to cause shenanigans unless I figure out the right way to fix it. It's a organization thing that's the issue now. When I was building this, I did not account for the fact that different things are on different HUD layers, and this causes issues. Okay, I have to think about this now. Unfortunately, there are complications that come up with these kinds of things when you don't think these things through. And this happened to me just now. So, story of my life. Region signals and region. We're going to do signal public virtual void on sorry, delegate on the switch menu, opened event handler, and then we're going to need this switch menu closed event handler. So the reason why we need these is relatively straightforward, and then I'm going to have to then I need to come over to like the title. No, I need to go to the dip switch manager now and do like two things. Okay, we're just gonna do check operator menu status. And this one doesn't need to be public. We can just do void check operator menu status. Then we're gonna say if dip switch state machine dot current state is null, then we can do that. And then we emit signal name dot on dip switch menu opened. Else cool. So we just do that, right? And the reason why we are going out of our way to do this is that over here in the title screen state, we can subscribe a couple of things over here. Okay, and then here we're going to do process, and we're going to do always, so that basically even when strictly speaking the game is paused, all of these nodes have the function that they need to have. Um, there we go. One other thing that I'm going to have to adjust now. Because now the operator menu is on its own, there is one other thing that I'm going to have to adjust here. I'm going to have to grab this code. I'm going to have to come back over here. All right, I do have to actually do a thing now, don't I? All right, that should adjust. That should fix that. Because what was happening is that the go back button was being used to go back to a previous state in the state machine. But that was assuming, for example, that, it was part of everything else. Okay, that doesn't work, does it? That becomes a problem. Okay. If that should sort that again. Welcome back again, Nadia. All right. So basically, this whole time, I have been gently smacking the side of of the machine to compensate for me doing silly crimes. All right, cool. This works. The only problem is that now this thing is visible when it needs to not be. So let's also just go to the dip switch manager. Hang on a second. This is one thing I just need to do over here. So the dip switch manager, um, operator menu, we need to make this editable. The visibility node needs to be, we just need to turn that off by default. And then assuming that I did this correctly, the visibility node. Good. Good.
Ready?
Okay, good. It more or less works. The only problem is that like the HUD, now I have to basically just reorganize one thing in particular in order to get this to work correctly. I have to think about where this thing now shows up in the actual HUD. That is the main rub that I am now running into. Um, but I think I can cheat this if I'm careful. Uh, Reparent to new node, layer, canvas. All right, I think if I do it like this, I can get away with it like this, I think. Dip switch, operator menu, canvas layer. I think I can cheat like that. I think. Let's find out. Um, yep, it worked. So you can still see like the rest of the HUD and everything. You can see the rest of the HUD and everything behind it. And I think I know a way to work around that. I just need to go to dip switch manager. So in the visibility node, I just need to do like a backing thing, I think. Let me see if I can get away with adding a child node. Control, can I slip one in? Yeah, I can slip in one right under there. And then we're just going to do add child node 9 patch rect. You're also going to do this. You are quick load blank sprite. And then I just need to do visibility, modulate. We're just going to do 0, 0, 0. That makes like a solid back text. We can just do like 200, and then that should be good. Black BG control black BG. So yeah, this is the thing about Godot that I like so much, right? Like when I theoretically need to be doing some bullshit that I really shouldn't be doing, or if I need to like work around the consequences of something silly that I did before, it is relatively easy for me to work around that. Relatively. I'm gonna do one thing though. Export control operations menu visibility node. Very simply on ready, we're just going to do options menu visibility. Damn it. Operations menu visibility node dot visible equals false, just to make my life a little bit easier, so I don't have to like keep turning it off somewhere else when I need it. So just come over here and then this visibility node. So now I should have this correct now. It will pause everything behind it. So, all right. Shoot lander. Ready? So yeah. So yeah, like as y'all can see, right? I can very easily. So now I can just literally just open up the operator menu whenever I need to, and just tweak whatever needs tweaking, right? And there we are, right? So if there is any point at which I need to like open up the operations menu, I can just do that. I can have it show up. It has a dark enough backing that it's easy to see, and you can like actually sit down and do like coins for credit and like sort out all of the other stuff that you need to sort out. Okay, one other thing that I do need to actually probably try to figure out. Okay. Inherit. Oh, right. And title node is on always, and it's also part of that. Okay. My fault. Mea culpa. Now, for this one, I need to do pausable instead of inherit, so that the attract mode itself doesn't like switch over when we're doing attract mode manager stuff. So that like we don't get weird things happening in the background while we're trying to like do that. So we also need score scene. I got to go to the attract mode manager over here and make sure that the attract mode manager over here process instead of inherit. We're going to switch it to pausable so that it does stop when the tree, which is to say the whole game, is like hard paused like it should be when we go into the operations menu. We just need to like hard pause so that like we actually have time to like do the things that we need to do. So good. all of those things are possible now, which means that like we're not gonna run into a situation. I probably have at least screwed up something still insofar as, oh, I forgot to tweak that and now this is going to become a living hell. But that's a future us problem. Future that's a future us problem to deal with. Um, oh, I need to see. That's I knew I forgot to do something. So over here, um, so if it is free play, then the credits text label dot visible. Yeah, you're not turning on. You just can't turn on. It doesn't work that way. If it's free play, then you do not turn on. You can't. So hold that. Yeah, there we go. Much better. Ready? Swift lantern. So yeah, in arcade mode. So if I were to take it out of arcade mode, all the old functionality comes back and we're good. But while we're in arcade mode, all of that is locked up tight. But all right, y'all. I had a good time. However, I was not expecting to like wind up getting lost in the sauce. That was not supposed to be the plan today. I was going to be doing some small game stuff, but then it turned out that I'm extra, and so these are the things that happened. Like I'm just messy, I guess. Lol, Lamau, it's me. All right. I wanted to find somebody to hang out with, so I'm gonna go do that. Okay, I need to put this other person over here on the side to be ready to go jump in with them. I feel like I'll need something mellow. And I've been like all over the place, so I know where we're gonna send us, but I'm gonna do a couple other things first. So thank y'all for coming by. Deeply appreciate it. Schedule plan is as follows. Friday, Fighting Friday streams, 6 p.m. Eastern time. I might try to play some more Sagat again, but it's also very likely I'm just going to be playing Elena and Street Fighter 6 because it just makes my life easier. Aside from that, Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern time, should be more Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition. We have just started Act 3, the final act of that game. The one where a lot of people say that like things sort of don't hold up as well, but I have not played the game enough to be certain, but I'm pretty sure I disagree. Thematically, it's been pretty good, I think, and I think it's gonna hold. That's my opinion. That's me. So, thank y'all for coming by. Deeply appreciate it. Thanks. The blog stuff you can ignore. I want to set up with like Ghost or something once I get a job and I can afford to like pay a Ghost subscription. I would rather do that than like NeoCities or Medium. But if you want to read the stuff that I have, for right now, it's all over there. I'm gonna be moving it over to like Ghost or something later. Stream VODs are up on my YouTube. Ko-Fi, if you want to support me in the stream but don't want to give money to Amazon and Jeff Bezos, that's where you do it. Monthly Ko-Fi donations, I keep much more of that on a monthly basis than I do Twitch subs. My preference is Twitch sub. My preference is that over Twitch subs, but if for whatever reason it's easier for you to do Twitch subs, then do what you feel. But you know, Throne, anonymous gift giving, things that also have to do with like my stream setup and office supplies and stuff like that. You can actually also do, if you are so inclined, you can crowd fundraise for some of the things that are on the Throne. My card has my other social media links, but nowadays mostly I'm on Blue Sky via the Black Sky protocol. So if you're on Blue Sky yourself, you can still find me on Blue Sky. It's just that like my name instead of like my username is sjhdoesgames.blacksky.app instead of .bsky.social. But you can still access that through Blue Sky because of the power of what we call Federation. If you want to know more about Munity, that's our website over there. You can join our Patreon to support us for your paid. And then you can play a version of Shoot Lancer at home if you like, over there. And last but not least, the Gilded. Personally speaking, we don't run a Discord. I run a Gilded instead. You do have to make a Roblox account, but do not have to play Roblox in order to join us on Gilded. We watch anime and tokusatsu and stuff on Saturdays. Maybe not this Saturday because I have like a thing to do. But most Saturdays we watch anime and things like that. We also just talk about other things that I don't get to talk about on stream. Just click that link, make the Roblox/Gilded account, and then you fill out that thing and you're good to go. But if you don't want to, I understand. We're gonna go hang out with Idiosin Anka, who is currently doing some crafting stuff. I'm not sure if it is like a cosplay thing or something else that she has in mind, but she's playing some really chill beats, and I figured that it's like a good kind of like cool off while we are doing the thing that we are like from, you know, doing this on stream. So appreciate y'all. Stay safe, wear a mask if you go outside, wash your hands, be excellent to each other, not the bigots, racists, turfs, sexist, anti-queer folks, or fascists. Remember, Black Lives Matter, trans rights are human rights, reproductive rights are human rights. Palestine, Sudan, the Congo, New Caledonia, and Haiti must all be free. None of us are free till we're all free. Look after each other. Do what local things you can in your community, or whether that's like an online community or an offline community. Keep your focus where you can help people, and that's kind of the important part. The raid message is this. SH's raids. Go in your favorite emotes. They don't have to be my emotes, whatever emotes you feel like. And I'll catch y'all whenever I catch y'all. Till then, deuce.